Hey guys, Joe here at JP Details, and today we'll be deep cleaning the underside of the Focus RS, removing all loose surface rust, treating those rusty areas with a rust converter product, followed with protecting the complete underside of the car with a further anti-corrosion preservation treatment. If you haven't subscribed to the channel already, then please consider subscribing, and at any point throughout the video that you may feel my efforts warrant a thumbs up, then please feel free to give the like button a tick up. The Focus RS is 10 years old and it has covered 70,000 miles, and I highly reckon that within that time the underside would never have been cleaned in any shape or form. There was quite a build-up of dirt and grime across the entire underside, and there was certainly tons of trapped grit and dirt hidden in the gaps and crevices. We jacked the car up starting at the rear and placed two spare wheels under each corner. The ground is slightly uneven at the front of the unit, and it did prove to be quite a precarious process. The first task is to apply a thick covering of snow foam, and for this I'm going to use a product called Flowy. This company got in touch well over a year ago, and they did want me to feature the product in a few videos. The problem with the snow foam that I found is that it's far too strong for the average vehicle. Flowy snow foam is more suited to cleaning lorries, tractors, fleet vehicles, quad bikes and off-road vehicles. The snow foam is incredibly strong, and by the time you have rinsed it off, it doesn't half remove some thick and baked on crud. I wouldn't recommend using this snow foam on your own pride and joy, but it did come in very handy at pre-cleaning the underside of the RS, as it was absolutely filthy. I applied 3 layers of the snow foam to the underside with 5 minutes in between, and then took the pressure washer and thoroughly rinsed it all off.
Yeah.
Pre-rinse the underside incredibly thoroughly and be sure to hit every last section. You'll need to attack the underside from various angles, and be sure to work the stream of water into every last gap and crevice, and trust me, there is a few. At this point we'll want to dislodge and remove as much of the dirt and grime that's possible, and flush out all of the dirt and grime from hidden and trapped areas.
Don't try and follow me, stay where you are, okay. Keep it focused on that bit from there, because otherwise it'll go out of focus and it'll be shit. Quite a difference. If the car moves, like noticeably moves and it's about to fall over, shout move, and I'll do the same. So I don't want to die.
Okay.
I'd rather survive, but I'm sure it'll be absolutely fine. Recording. Yeah, to get some, I don't know, cinematic shit. But to keep it focused, or get the hang of it, you have to move it pretty slow. Do that far side. Let's put a bit of faith in this car.
Please note this was the very first task that I gave the Focus within its bigger detail, but it just made sense to upload the main bodywork videos first. We loaded up the wheel bucket with a special concoction of a few products, and we will be using Shiny Sauce, which is an all-purpose cleaner and degreaser for the main initial cleaning stage.
What's this? Hang on. Right, whenever I'm doing footage, we don't talk. Okay, going forwards. Hang on. Shiny Sauce. Become the expert. It's meant for, but they originally made it for bikes.
After the rinse stage was done, we both got stuck in with various brushes and the Shiny Sauce degreaser. We did spend quite a while attacking all accessible areas with our variety of brushes. Just to let you know, there are many hidden areas on the underside of a vehicle. You've got the exhaust to work around and under, behind the rear bumper, all suspension components and sway bars, fuel tank, various pipes and wires, and loads of other random things. It did make for the fun process deep cleaning with Shiny Sauce, and due to the both of us being on our backs all of the time, was ideal that we both decided to wear waterproofs.
It's going to be one of those jobs where you'll just have to keep going over and over and over.
Well, as long as we do it half well, by the time it's all done, all the different stages, this is just the wet cleaning stage.
Yeah, because of the wheels, have to come off the wheel now.
Yeah, you have to get a bit more of the wheels, and when it needs to all dry, then we need to brush off all the fucking, brush it off, treat the rust, and then apply this underseal wax. It's easy to do, it's literally a liquid, so you just brush it on everywhere and it dries clear. You just need to get it.
I was expecting it to be like full black. Like a dark, like a paint. But it's not.
We opted to apply a fourth layer of snow foam to the underside, gave it 10 minutes to dwell whilst we had a coffee, and then we thoroughly rinsed it back off. The amount of dirt and grime gathering on the floor gave me an awesome feeling and actually made me debate as to whether or not the weight loss would be sufficient enough to be noticeable.
Do I need to make chocks or anything?
No, just stay out of the way.
Okay.
The rear was dropped down and the front was raised, and we repeated the process. We decided to raise one side of the car at a time due to the uneven ground, and then went ahead and pre-rinsed, applied product agitated with brushes, then rinsed for a final time. The underside at the front had practically already been snow foamed more than once whilst attending to the rear. We removed the Undertray due to it being absolutely filthy, and it does cover quite a substantial amount of the underside of the engine. We don't do things by halves here at JP Details, and that Undertray was actually quite the bastard to remove.
One mucky Undertray.
The rest of the underside was treated in the same way, and we did then go on to tackle the arches. However, I will be making a separate video covering the complete arch detailing process in the future. The car was brought inside the unit and the heaters were turned on, the dehumidifier was also turned on, and the car was given a few days to fully dry. Blake Car Care came down to help for the day, and the task of the day was to scrub off the loose surface rust from the metal components. Please give Blake Car Care a follow on Facebook and Instagram. I'll put his social links in the video's description. We did spend quite a bit of time removing the surface rust from all accessible areas, and as a whole I was impressed with the condition of the underside. It isn't the worst I've ever seen on one of these Focus RS Mark IIs, and I reckon we will be in for a decent result when the entire process is complete. After the wire brush stage was finished to a satisfactory standard, we blew out the gaps and crevices incredibly thoroughly. Not only did this remove the dried out rust dust, but it also allowed me to get under the car and fling out further grains of gravel from the inside of the side skirts. We then proceeded to wipe the complete underside down with a substantial amount of IPA. Considering that this is the underside of the car that is more than likely receiving its first ever clean, it was very surprising to find that hardly any further dirt was coming off with what is essentially an incredibly strong degreaser. Please note the rear of the brake disc housing plates do need to come off for a complete refurbishment, which is why we didn't pay them any particular attention at this moment in time. A product that I was incredibly looking forward to trying out for the first time is called Bilt Hydrate 80. This product provides powerful protection to rusted steel surfaces. Its electrochemical function stabilizes existing corrosion by converting the iron oxide into a protective metal complex. It also combines with surface moisture and oxygen, depriving the corrosion process of the conditions it requires. Hydrate 80 provides a superior stable barrier to prevent further corrosion attack. The cross-linking polymer formulated to provide the tough non-rubbery barrier tenaciously grips the metal surface, forming an ideal base for further coatings, paints or anti-corrosion wax. The key with getting this product to perform at its absolute best is all in the preparation. Deep clean the surfaces first, wire brush all loose surface rust to your heart's content, IPA to get the surface ultimately clean, and you can then either brush on or spray on the product. Considering that most of the underside of the Focus is either metal chassis or metal components, and the pure fact we had a 500ml bottle just to use on my own vehicle, it isn't very expensive by the way, we decided to use the entire bottle on my own car. We applied the product to every last metal section on the underside, which only left a few plastic areas such as the fuel tank and a few other random plastic panels. The product is a little thick on application, and it did prove quite difficult whilst applying it to a substantially sized surface to get it to an even finish. We were both happy when this incredibly messy stage was finished, and you then give the coating 24 hours to fully dry and work its magic. When I came into the unit the next day, I was feeling quite anxious as to how this light blue product had dried. I had bad thoughts in the back of my mind that the underside would still be blue, however when I did return back to the unit 24 hours later, it had turned the original rusty and bronze looking metal components into a much deeper and darker colour, almost black, and I was incredibly impressed. The underside had certainly started to take shape into a well detailed appearance, so I then moved to the next product called Bilt Hydrate Dynax UC Wax Coat. Consider everything else all part of the preparation, as the UC wax coat is our last stage protection. Liberally spray the wax onto all underside surfaces, and I did find that although I was very liberal with my application, I did have enough for 2 decent coats. I gave the underside 12 hours before applying the second coat, and I must say that doing this first ever underside deep clean, preservation and protection job on my own motor has been one of the best tasks that I've ever done in detailing. Dynax UC is a new high performance anti-corrosion wax that provides a low film thickness see-through protective shield. Its firm wax-like film is rich in unique metal-seeking corrosion inhibitors that stop existing and prevent new corrosion. Dynax UC can be applied to bare metal or painted surfaces, in fact anywhere where a discrete and powerful inhibitor is required. The product is completely safe to use on the vast majority of paint coatings and is ideal where dark coloured waxes or underseal would detract from the painted finish of a vehicle's underside. The touch dry tough wax film provides mechanical protection to the painted surface too. The underside of the exhaust was next to be treated, although this was done at some point whilst waiting for the underside treatments to dry. I initially compounded the exhaust with the mini rotary just to see what difference I was able to make, and it soon became apparent that there were a few stains on the exhaust that I won't be able to remove. We tried compounding, wet sanding, compounding again, metal polish, wire wool, the rotary machine, the DA, in fact everything that we did have at our disposal, we tried it. The exhaust must have had 5 or 6 hours of solid attention, but I was happy with the efforts that went into it, even if it isn't 100%. The exhaust was refined and ceramic coated shortly after, and it should now stay nice and shiny and easy to keep clean. The undertray was next to be dressed with 2 layers of lithium trim serum alongside the arch liners, and each of those 2 layers were given 2 days to become as bonded to the plastic surface as physically possible. The complete underside was finished, it was given a few days to fully dry, and here's the finished results. The difference is remarkable. The Bilt Hydrate products are quite simply amazing, and they have converted all previous rusty sections into a much darker colour, but some areas I think were just past the point of being fully restored. There aren't any areas on the underside that need replacing due to corrosion. In fact, the level of corrosion on the Focus has to be expected for a vehicle of this age, especially one bearing the badge Ford. To say that I'm impressed with the Bilt Hydrate range of undercarriageway products would be a complete understatement. I would highly recommend giving this a try on your own pride and joy, but be prepared to spend the best part of 50 hours in doing the vehicle justice. The only areas that I should have paid more attention to are the pipes coming out of the exhaust box, as I'm pretty sure that these areas can be improved. However, I will give them a better sing to at some point in the future. The arches are now looking fantastic, which was a huge difference from before, but please excuse the brake rotors and calipers as these are next to be sorted. Future videos will follow. The undertray was fitted back to the car and the underside is now officially complete. I'm pretty sure there was at least 50 hours of combined labour that went into the underside deep cleaning and preservation process with the help of Blake Car Care. Please give Blake a follow on Facebook and Instagram, his social links are in the description below. As always, thank you for watching, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, be sure to give me a follow on Facebook and Instagram, just search JP Details and I'll hopefully catch you in the next one. I decided to use up the rest of the Bilt Hydrate rust converter product on the areas of the underside of the car where the trolley jack and the axle stands had originally been placed. Quite literally on this car, no areas have been left untouched. The exhaust was in a pretty bad condition before I started the detail, and I will show you the detailing process that it underwent in the undercarriageway preservation video. But it really does look super shiny and mirror-like now that it's all been polished and ceramic coated. This was the best task that I did with the car, taking it off the axle stands, touching up those missed areas of chassis and dropping the car back on the ground, although it was quite the precarious process to do. The final steps were to apply Swiss Vac seal feed to the rubber seals to give them some much needed moisture and a darker finish. All plastics, which is very minimal on the Focus RS Mark II, were treated to lithium trim serum. I applied these products to the car a few days ago and given them a decent amount of time to become bonded and absorbed into the rubber and plastics.